Hi, everybody. I'm Rick Zamor. I'm your moderator for the next few minutes, maybe longer. Welcome to Town Meeting 2026. There are going to be a few changes to the order of the day. As usual, we will hear from Zon Eastis, hopefully after Article 6, give a report on the legislative session. Dan Ingold wants to give a very brief update on emergency management. He's our emergency management director. We have a special event for you right before lunch, so please be here for that. It's important. And as usual, Allie and the country store prepared a beautiful lunch, and we hope to see everybody there. Allie does too, because she wants to break even. Oh yeah, there are snacks in the back from the country store, coffee and pastries and tea. So without further ado, one thing I've been asked to remind you by our town clerk is there's no canvassing, no politicking at town meeting, because that applies to the polling place, and this meeting is actually the same meeting as what's going to happen on Tuesday. It's all part of one big meeting. So if there's any politicking going on, it should be done outside at the entrance to the school driveway.
Is it time for Article 1?
Town clerk, do you want to call the meeting to order?
All right, welcome residents of the Town of Guilford to Guilford's 2026 Annual Town Meeting. I'm officially calling this meeting to order at 10:06.
Hurrah!
Well done.
Okay,
All
shall
right.
I go ahead with
Article 1, do I hear a motion?
Okay, Article 1, to elect a moderator for the ensuing year, which means right now. I move that we elect Rick Zamor.
There's a second.
Okay, are there any nominations?
If there are, I
Further.
will step aside.
Okay, then nominations.
Well, wait, look around for a minute.
Carol Mills.
Okay, I don't see anyone.
Seeing none?
Seeing none, we will now vote on Rick Zamor as your moderator for 2026 town meeting. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Thank you so much. I think the ayes have it. Okay. All right. A few opening remarks. Are there any newcomers? Anyone here who's going to vote and who has not been at town meeting before? One, two. We have several. That's great. Welcome. We want our town to grow. So these remarks are for you and for everyone. And most of you have heard them before, probably many times, but they're worth listening to. Thank you for electing me again. John Franklin is my parliamentarian, and he will help out if I get into trouble. This is your meeting. You can overrule any decision I make with a simple majority. You can also vote to change Robert's Rules of Order with a 2/3 vote, but you cannot change Vermont statutes related to town meeting. A few instructions and explanations before we begin. Speaking to the body is limited to Guilford registered voters unless we suspend the rules with a 2/3 majority to allow someone from out of town to address the assembly, as in the case of our representatives from service organizations or a state senator. You may hear me say, with your permission, or if there is no objection, we will now hear from so-and-so, referring to a non-resident who wants to speak to one of the articles. I say this in hopes that we can skip the 2/3 votes necessary and move things along. To make a motion or propose an amendment or to add to the discussion, please raise your hand, stand when I call on you, and state your name clearly. You can add your road if you want to. And that will help us have accurate minutes, and which are important. If you, a motion can be amended, and an amendment can be amended, but there can be no third amendment because that would be too confusing. If you feel that the result of a vote is not clear, when I announce the result, and I will say it appears the ayes have it, appears the nays have it, I'll wait for a minute and then announce my decision. If you think that the vote was not clear, you can ask for a division, which means that the ayes will stand and be counted by the Board of Civil Authority and then sit down, and then the nays will stand and be counted. You can request a paper ballot if 6 of the voters agree with you. It takes 7 total to do that. You should have been given paper ballots when you came in. No? Okay, well, if we have a paper ballot, we'll have to figure that out. So I can't tell you to hang on to them because you don't have them. Please address your remarks to me, not to the person who spoke before you. This is important. Whatever you say should be directly related to the article or the amendment under discussion. I will rule you out of order if your comments are not germane to the article as written. I ask you to refrain from applauding a speaker whose remarks you agree with. Applause can be divisive, and it can add to the tension in the room. Of course, it's fine to applaud someone who's done a presentation or given a report. Robert's rules allow 10 minutes per speaker. If there's no objection, I'd like to shorten that to 5 minutes. Is there any objection to 5-minute limit on speakers? Good. A few more things before we start. You may not end your comments on an article or amendment by calling the question to cease debate. If you want to call the question, you must wait until I recognize you, which will be after everyone who had their hands raised before you has spoken. If your motion to call the question is seconded, we will immediately cease debate and vote on calling the question and take the vote immediately without further discussion. Calling the question requires a division, so we will stand and be counted yea and nay. If you've spoken once on an issue, you may not speak a second time until everyone else has had a chance to speak. Robert's rules prohibit speaking a third time, but the Assembly can overrule that with a 2/3 vote and give someone a chance to speak 3 times. As I mentioned, Don Easties will speak and give us an update on the legislative session, hopefully after Article 6, depending on time. And Dan Ingold, is Dan here? There he is in the back. Dan, I'll call on you at some point between articles. And Dan's got a short update on emergency management. I'll close my remarks with this town meeting invocation, which they hear up in Danville, Vermont. Let's have a moment of silence and reflection as we're gathered here in civil assembly. We gather as a community in the oldest sense of the word. We come together to try and make decisions about what is right and what is wrong. Let's advocate for our positions, but not at the expense of others. Let us remember that there's a huge difference between saying I am right and I believe I am right. Remember that our neighbors with whom we disagree are good people who also want what they think is best for the town. And let's remember that in the end, caring for each other in this community is far more important than any differences we may have. Thank you. Now let's get started. Article 2, do I hear a motion?
Article 2, to hear the report of the Town Auditors. I move that we hear the report of the Town Auditors.
Okay, Article 2, to hear the report of the Town Auditors. You'll hear me repeat the article each time, and that's a requirement by the state. And when I repeat the article, then the article is on the floor and we can begin discussion. So do we have a report from the auditor? Was there a second? I was seconding. Okay, Verandah second. It's been moved and seconded. Is there a report from the auditors? Yes. Is there a microphone? Oh, good.
Kathy Wilkin, Pineville Road. There are two things to think about. Article 6, actually, start with Article 4. The library trustee who's being elected to fill previous retirement should be 3 years, not 4 years. And Article 6 will be a change in the amount of money, which will be a reduction actually because they don't want to double tax us. And that's all I have to report. It's about time.
Thank you. Are there any questions on the auditor's report? Yes, Tammy. A microphone?
Thank you. Tammy Sargent. My question, every year it seems like the town reports are delivered later and later. And this year there are a lot of people that haven't even received their town report yet. I didn't get mine in time for pre-town meeting, and I heard a lot of others that didn't. My question is, why does it take so long to get the town report? Where is I know the end of the fiscal year ends June 30th. So I'm just curious why we're unable to get the town report out to the citizens a little sooner.
I'd like to answer that.
Tara.
Yeah, it is. So just from what I'm hearing, and my brother works for the USPS, they have such a shortage, especially in Brattleboro right now, that people aren't getting their mail. And anyone that is expecting mail needs to contact the USPS. So they're just really short-staffed, and I think that's a real issue. We're not getting mail in Brattleboro for a week. So hopefully that can change, and the USPS has benefits, so if anyone needs a job.
I have a comment on this.
Erica.
I think your mic's not on. Sorry. So I think up on our little screen here is the situation from yesterday at the Brattleboro post office. I have been in communication with the postmaster there, and he said, we did our best. We are done trying to deliver these. So what is in this picture is a combination of our town reports that weren't delivered and the Guilford Guide. So if you are missing either of those pieces, we have them here. And I also would like to request, if you didn't get them, to let me know your address so we can figure it out with the labeling from the Brattleboro Reformer. I think in this case it's more the post office issue than anything else, but I just want to cover all the bases. Thanks.
Yes. No? Linda, did you have a comment? Linda Hay?
Do I need a mic or can I use my teacher voice?
No, use the mic. Use the mic.
Okay.
Thank you. Leslie Kinney, who lives near me on Route 5, Coolidge Highway, inquired at the post office and was told by someone there that the Guilford Guide and the town report going out at the same time confused some folks at the post office, and they said, oh, we've already delivered this, thinking that the town report was another copy of the Guilford Guide.
Well, as part of the Guilford Guide crew, I apologize for anything we contributed. I may be wrong, but my sense is that the town staff and the auditors did everything they could to get this report out on time, and the post office screwed up. Any other comments before we move on? Hearing none, we will go to Article. What? Oh, sorry, Davida.
I ask that
Wait
folks...
for the mic.
Oh, I'm sorry. That's why I'm actually speaking up, because it's hard to hear from the panel with the mics, and I know not everyone has 100%, but also for accessibility, could everyone make sure they speak loud enough for the entire group to hear?
Thank you. Got it.
Dave Snyder says get right on the mic. You almost have to swallow it. And that goes for people in the audience, too. Okay, Article 3, do I hear a motion?
Article 3, to hear the report of the Library Trustees. I move that we hear the report of the Library Trustees.
Second that. Second.
Chip seconds. Okay, Article 3, to hear the report of the Library Trustees. Is there a report? Laura.
Thank you.
Thank you, Rick. Thank you, everyone, for being here. I'm Laura Lawson-Tucker, co-chair of the Library Board of Trustees, and it's my honor to present our report. And what I'm going to do is share highlights, because the librarian's report, director's report, is in your town report. But I want to preface what I have to say about the library with, I think most of us know that a healthy community is made up, or happens because people get connected with their neighbors, connected as a volunteer, helping organizations, helping people gather. There's so many ways that connections happen in our town. And I'm very excited and pleased to note all the different people in our town who give of themselves in small ways and big ways. So now I'll bring you now to the library. And that's true at the library. Trustees are volunteers, and in addition to volunteering, of course, we have town employees who give so much. So looking right up there at the dais and at Rick. So I'm wanting to give that context because the library, of course, is also a place to connect with your neighbors, a place to connect with literature and enriching activities. And so it's very wonderful that the town of Guilford supports the Guilford Free Library, and it's such a vibrant place. So evidence of that vibrancy are from this past year in your report, just some highlights. The borrowing has increased, and especially ebooks and e-audiobooks. In the hours, we're open more hours, and that's following on the heels of the town agreeing to fund the library director having more hours. There are now 2 courier stops. What that means is, because we're such a little tiny library, how we can best meet our patrons' needs is interlibrary loan. We also loan some of our books. So a courier, a delivery service, comes, either picks up and or delivers books. And there was such a need for that, we've increased it to two a week. We have grant-funded furniture upgrades in the children's room. So if you haven't had a chance to come into your library and see the children's room, it's bright, engaging, and makes you maybe want to sit down and hear some children's stories. And program highlights, summer camp continues to have a waiting list. It's free for all Guilford children, and for people who don't live in Guilford, $50 fee. So we're proud that we can offer that. And we also have after-school programs. We have a program called Zumbini, which is for young ones and their parents, movement and songs, and with Summer Library Challenge with prizes. The building is available for use by small groups, and that happens a lot. And we have a new online resources, Mango. No, it's not a fruit. Mango for learning languages, and Biblio Plus for streaming movies. So much, and it's there. You don't even need to leave your house. You can just, access it from your computer. But I do just want to really appreciate everyone here in this room and beyond for your support of our town's library. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Laura. Article 4, do I hear a motion?
Yeah, so we heard Kathy earlier, so this Article 4 is going to have to be amended, but I need to read it in full first. To elect the following officers: Cemetery Commissioner for a term of 5 years, Library Trustee 1 for a term of 4 years, a Library Trustee for a term of 3 years, and a Trustee of Public Funds for a term of 5 years. And there are 2 terms that are going to need to be amended.
I would like to make a motion to amend Article 4 to read.
Oh, can I just put it on the floor, Tara?
Sorry, yes, you
Sure,
can.
that's all right. I'll read it as written. To elect the following officers: Cemetery Commissioner for a term of 5 years, Library Trustee for a term of 4 years, Library Trustee for a term of 3 years, and a Trustee of Public Funds for a term of 5 years.
Second.
Yes. One has been seconded. I'm just repeating it. Okay. And we need to amend this because some of the terms, 2 of the terms are incorrect.
Correct.
So I would like to make a motion to amend Article 4 to read as for a term of 3 years for the Library Trustee and for a term of 3 years for the Trustee of Public Funds.
Is that 3 years for both library trustees?
Correct.
Correct.
That's not right.
Oh,
I think that the article is correct for the library trustees. We have, let's see.
4 or 3?
No, I don't think that's right. We have people who are appointed this year by the select board to finish or to fill in for 2 resignations. One, Nika Fotopoulos, whose term ends in 2030, so that's 4 years from now. And the other was Sandra Cortez, whose term would end in 2029, so that's 3 years from now. Those are the 2 library trustee positions that need to be elected today.
so I think we can just amend it for the cemetery commissioner.
No, the trustee of
Public
public
Funds, I'm
funds
sorry.
is a typo.
Do I need to do that again? Okay. So I would like to make a motion to amend Article 4 to read as for a term of 3 years for the Trustee of Public Funds.
Okay, is there any, I'll read it as amended and then we'll discuss it. To elect the following officers: Cemetery Commissioner for a term of 5 years, Library Trustee for a term of 4 years, Library Trustee for a term of 3 years, and Trustee of Public Funds for a term of 3 years. Is there any discussion? Yes, Eric.
Thanks. Eric Morse, North Belden Hill Road. I would like to nominate Nancy Detra for the 5-year term for Cemetery Commissioner. Nancy has been a Cemetery Commissioner for at least 1 term. She was instrumental in helping us prepare the brochure, which is on the town website, and copies are available at the town clerk, a project that was kind of aspirational. We were trying to put that together for many years, and Nancy really helped with that. She also wrote the Cemetery Commissioner's Town Report on page 38. So we'd really like to keep Nancy on the Cemetery Commission. Thanks.
Okay, with your permission, if none of these offices are contested, I'd like to run them all at a slate so we can just vote once. Is there any objection to that? Zone?
Did we approve amending the article?
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, we need to approve the amendment. Is there any discussion on the amendment before we get into nominations? Are we ready to vote? An affirmative vote approves the amendment as written with the change of a trustee of public funds for 3 years. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. The ayes appear to have it. The ayes have it, and you have approved the amendment. Now we can vote on Article 4. Is there any discussion? Well, we need nominees for the other positions. Laura, do you want to nominate the library trustees?
John's got it.
Oh, John, okay.
Thank you. Hello, I'm John Shaw, East Mountain Road, and I'm a library trustee. I wanted to first say that, yeah, we had 2 trustees that were stepping down this year midterm, and I guess I want to just give them a quick acknowledgement that Sandra Cortez served for 11 years as a trustee and really did a lot of work. She was pretty instrumental in starting the summer camp program and other works. And Nika Fotopoulos served for, I think, almost 6 years and was our secretary for most of that time and was also an important part of our team. But they both stepped down. And so I would like to nominate Megan Orstrom to fill Sandra's term. She had been filling it as an interim so far, and has been great, and Emma Hallowell to fill Nika's term. And they both have been serving in an interim capacity, and it's been working out really well, so we'd love that to continue. So,
John, is Megan up for the 3-year term?
Yes, exactly. Megan would be the 3-year term, and Emma would be the 4-year.
Okay. Is there a nomination for trustee of public funds? Don.
I nominate Ellie Myonen.
Ellie Myonen has been nominated. Is there a second? Okay. I guess we need seconds on all of these. I'm sorry. Seconds on Megan Olstrom. Okay. Oh, Megan, hi. Second on Emma Hallowell. Okay. And a second on Nancy Detra. Okay, thank you. Is there any discussion before we vote? Yes?
We got to approve. Eric needs to go again because he was out of order.
Oh, Eric, you need to go again because you were out of order. Can you just do the nomination? Thank you, parliamentarian.
I nominate Nancy Detra for term for cemetery commissioner.
And is there a second? Second. Okay. You get that? Okay. Any discussion before we vote? All right. I will read the article. To elect the following officers. Cemetery commissioner for a term of 5 years, Nancy Detra. Library trustee for a term of 4 years, Emma Hallowell. Library trustee for a term of 3 years, Megan Olstrom. Trustee of Public Funds for 3 years, Ellie Myonen. All those in favor of electing that slate signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. And you have approved these officers. Thank you. Article 5. Oh, by all means.
Article 5. Shall the voters of the Town of Guilford authorize highway fund expenditures in the amount of $1,160,820 for fiscal year July 1, 2026 to June 30, 2027, for which $987,937 will be raised through taxes and $172,883 through non-tax revenue. 17 V.S.A. Section 2664.
Is there a second? Verandah. Okay, I'll read the article. Shall the voters of the Town of Guilford authorize highway fund expenditures in the amount of $1,160,820 for fiscal year July 1, 2026 to June 30th, 2027, for which $987,937 will be raised through taxes and $172,883 through non-tax revenue. Is there discussion? Yes, in the back.
Wait for the mic.
Sorry, I thought I spoke loud enough. But Kelly, on Coolidge Highway, can we just get a rundown for people who aren't familiar with what this would cover throughout the town, please? What sort of services or areas or what sort of thing that this would cover? Thank you.
Does somebody want to explain the highway budget?
Do you want me to do that?
Yeah, you've got 5 minutes.
I'm not gonna take 5 minutes. I'm just gonna, is it on? Is the mic on?
Yes.
I'm just gonna I'm gonna suggest that you look at page 16 and 17 of the town report, which lists every single expenditure and for the highway.
Other questions? Kelly? Oh, hold on.
I'm sorry. I'm looking at this, and I guess I'm just looking for sort of someone to kind of summarize what all these numbers would mean for the average Guilford resident. And living on Route 5, I don't live in the area near the school and the Grange and that sort of area. So I'm trying to determine what these numbers actually mean for. I'm just asking for someone to speak to that. I mean, I can read the numbers and I appreciate seeing that, but I guess I'm just asking for someone to speak to the sort of things that we could expect in the town.
Sure.
That's all. Thank you.
Yeah. I broke it down prior to this meeting on the 003 as well as the 009 highway and the Guilford Fire Department. But so I didn't extrapolate it all the way out, but if your property is worth $250,000, your tax budget on the highway department is $843 a year. On a $300,000 property, it's $1,011 a year. $375,000, it's $1,264. On a $400,000 property, it's $1,348.
Kelly, does that answer your question?
No, not really. I guess.
Do you want to know what the highway department does?
I just want someone maybe from the highway department to say, hey, this is the stuff that we've done. You know, you might see these projects or something having happen. I drive through Brattleboro and drive through on my way to Brattleboro. And so just sort of these are the activities that you might have or might not have seen. And this is maybe the maintenance we expect is going to be coming up and that sort of thing. What sort of things we would, these numbers are based on. That's
Sure.
all.
Is Jimmy here?
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Kelly, is there a specific concern that you have that maybe would help us address your question better?
There's Jimmy. Hey, Jimmy, do you want to grab the mic and see if you can answer that? Sure.
Oh, Jim. Jimmy.
Recognize him.
Have to recognize.
We have to give him permission to speak.
Oh, okay. With your permission, we'll let Jimmy speak. He's not a resident, but he knows a little bit about the roads.
Sure. I'm Jim Freeman. I took over for Dan last December 1st. I wasn't here last year, so some of you may or may not know what I look like. But I have been doing the job for over a year now. I think what Kelly's trying to get at is what we do, I guess, total, rather than see what it's spent on. So we are in charge of, this time of year, plowing, salting, sanding. In the summer, we replace culverts. We're responsible for the band rail. We cut trees, anything in the highway right-of-way, which varies depending on the width of the road. We do a lot of tree calls. There's a lot of dead and diseased trees, and there's also healthy trees that the weather gets. Those, we're responsible for those. We co-op with the GMP. When they have stuff on the wires, they come and shut the power off and take it down. We often assist them to get your power back on quicker. I could probably do this for an hour.
I'm sure you could.
It's. Is there a second on take the mic from Jim?
Jim, I think we get the idea.
I hope that helps. Okay.
Kelly, unfortunately, you live on a state highway, and you don't get to see the benefit of all this work, like most of us do.
Use the mic.
Yeah, just drive around, like mud season, stuff like that. It's you'll see a lot.
Oh, is that on?
Yep.
Oh, I also wanted to add that the highway department keeps all of the equipment running because, especially in the kinds of conditions that we have now, rain in winter followed by frigid weather followed by huge storms, there's a lot of vulnerability for the equipment. And the highway department often internally manages to keep those machines running. And also they respond to emergencies when people call up. They do what they can to help.
Dolores, did you want to make a comment? And then.
I just wanted to commend Jim for the good work he did and for actually keeping the budget in comparison to last year's as opposed to the rest of our budgets.
Yes.
So I wanted to note to people that every second Monday and fourth Monday of the month, we have a select board meeting. Jimmy reports at almost every single one of those meetings on what he's done for the last 2 weeks. It's usually very instructive to talking about conditions of the road, the absence of salt across the country, what's happening to our culverts, et cetera. And I think it's either worth attending those meetings or looking at the videos afterwards if you are really curious about what our highway department does. Thank you.
Is that Jethro in the back? No.
Yeah, Jethro Eaton, Johnson Pasture. I just want us
to the mic, Jethro.
I just want us to be conscious of, as people ask questions, even if they seem like they should be known, that everyone's respectful, like as far as laughing or just like that, making sure that, because I feel like we're getting to a point that some people aren't feeling comfortable standing up and asking questions. So I just want everyone to be respectful, that even if it might seem like you know that, or someone should know what it is, that I just want to bring it to everyone's attention. So that's all I wanted to say.
Thank you, Jethro. Other questions or comments on the article? Seeing none, we will vote on Article 5. Shall the voters of the Town of Guilford authorize highway fund expenditures in the amount of $1,160,820 for fiscal year July 1st, 2026 to June 30th, 2027, for which $987,937 will be raised through taxes and $172,883 through non-tax revenues. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. And you have approved Article 5. Before we go to Article 6, I'm just wondering if Dan wants to give us a quick report on emergency management. There's a lot going on.
So I'm Dan Ingold. I live down in Green River on River Road.
Closer to the mic.
Not working?
No, now it is.
Okay. Anyhow, I'm the co-director for emergency management. Jared Bristol, who is also our fire chief, is the other co-director. We've had a busy year this year, but three things I want to go over real quickly. One is we now have a formal agreement with BBCC as an overnight shelter. And I really want to thank the people at BBCC and Sheila Morse who helped negotiate that. So that's in place. So we now have a real overnight shelter here if we need it. So that's the first thing. Second thing is we're also working on what are called hub management. So we have divided the town into about 12 zones, neighborhoods basically, where we actually have volunteers for emergency management that are their neighborhood hub managers. And they're going to be reaching out to people this spring. And it's basically when the grid goes down, when communications goes down, that you have someone locally that you can get communication to and from about what's going on. If you remember back in March of 23, we had that terrible storm, the ice storm that really affected western Guilford, and people were without power and without communications for as much as 2 weeks. So anyhow, to help with that, we are looking for a couple more hub managers, specifically in southeast Guilford, so down Coolidge Highway Road, and in the lower part of Weatherhead Hollow Road. So if anyone's interested in being a hub manager for their neighbors, please contact us. Chuck Collins is actually the officer for hub managers, so either Chuck Collins or myself. The final thing I want to talk about is, and you'll see it on your seats, relative to Guilford Cares, we're trying to be a lot more active about having a list. This is a private list. We're going to follow HIPAA rules to maintain privacy. But if anyone of the people here, or if you know anyone or family members who may be vulnerable in times of an emergency event, we want to be able to know who those people are so we can get them help immediately. So anyhow, those are the three big things. We're going to keep working on projects this year, including more exercises like we had last year. We actually had an exercise where we had an event, this was April of last year, where we actually had state officials come down and observe and comment on what we need to do to improve our emergency response. Thank you.
Thank you, Dan. Sheila.
So those notices on your chair, I think Leah Gessner just told me that there's a typo. It's not guildordcares.org or com, it's Guilford, surprise. So just please note that if you're trying to use that website. Thank you.
Okay, Article 6. Oh, excuse me?
There's a hand.
Oh, the hand up? Oh, there, okay, I'm sorry.
Super simple. In respect of folks who are new to Guilford, Dan, will you explain BBCC? What is it and where is it? Thank you.
BBCC is Broad Brook Community Center, and it's in Guilford Center. It used to be the Grange, but it's had quite a workover and is an incredible organization, the Broad Brook Community Center. But it is a building that has been totally redone. It's got a backup generator to it, and it is central to the town of Guilford.
And coincidentally, it's the building where the Grange is holding the Sugar on Snow Supper next Saturday. Article 6, do I hear a motion?
Yes. And this is another one of the articles that will be amended, so please be patient with the process. Shall the voters of the town of Guilford authorize general fund expenditures of $1,407,616 for the fiscal year July 1, 2026 to June 30th, 2027 for which $1,240,636 will be raised through taxes and $166,980 through non-tax revenue via Vermont State Statute 17, Section 2664.
Is there a second? Second. Sheila seconds.
Okay.
Okay, hold it. Let me read it. Article 6. Shall the voters of the Town of Guilford authorize general fund expenditures of $1,407,616 for the fiscal year July 1st, 2026 through June 30th, 2027, for which $1,240,636 will be raised through taxes and $166,980 through non-tax revenue.
Okay, so for those of you who
Do
may...
you want to propose an amendment?
I do. I just wanted to give a piece of information that for those of you who may be still sitting on it, this explanation is on your seat. So the amendment is, shall the voters of the Town of Guilford authorize general fund expenditures of $1,050,336 for the fiscal year July 1, 2026 to June 30th, 2027, for which $883,356 will be raised through taxes and $166,980 through non-tax revenue, 17 V.S.A. Section 2664. And shall I mention that the 003 budget is on pages 10 through 15 of your town report, and there was no increase in this budget this year.
Does someone want to explain the amendment? Or should we just, or
I mean, it was explained, but I'll let Erica explain it. We haven't heard from her in a while.
All right, so we are in the first year of a process of simplifying the way we figure the budget, switching from just using an Excel spreadsheet, which anybody who's ever used Excel knows is not a perfect system, and it's prone to human error. So there was a little human error in the spreadsheet still that got into the article. So what we're doing, and it's on the screen if you can see it. It's not on the screen? There's nothing? Oh, I'm sorry. Oh. All right. Well, it's on your chair, I guess. I don't know how to make it be on the screen. So we inadvertently had the local public services, which is the fire department, for $339,550, and the social services for $17,730. Those are both on town report page 15. Those were both inadvertently left in the general budget calculation. So the total is too high because those are also in special articles. So this amendment reduces the original calculated total from $1,407,616 to $1,050,336. So.
Therese.
So we have to get a second for that?
Oh, second. Has the amendment been seconded?
I'll second it.
Okay. Sorry. Therese.
I'm Teresa Marcy on Briggs Road, and I know your explanation makes sense, but it really would be help to see those numbers because I can't follow exactly. But is it that you double booked the fire department?
Yes, yes, double book the fire department.
And the social services. Yes, so you'll see that there are two special amendments coming up.
Is the paper on your chair?
Is the paper right on your chair?
So those two special amendments should not also have been included in the general budget.
Are you questioning the arithmetic, or?
Yeah, I would just like to see the numbers on the screen, if that's possible.
So if you look at your town report on page 15, maybe that's better to help. I'm not sure how I can create a new slide.
Comment while we're waiting?
Hi, my name is Devin. I live on Lake Ridge Road. And as the select board mentioned, they're making improvements to the way that the numbers are tabulated. I have a question in here, but sort of a noting that I didn't quite understand. Is the select board moving from Excel spreadsheets to a different software, or they're just revamping the Excel spreadsheets? That's question number one. And question number two is the select board using AI in any way, shape, or form? No value judgments, but I do have a question. If you are beginning to or experimenting with, I personally have noticed that AI, while it seems like a really amazing feature and does a lot of amazing things, when I ask it to do math, sometimes it doesn't math the math correctly. And I have to continue to prompt it, and sometimes it does it correctly and sometimes it doesn't. But what kind of safeguards, if you are beginning to experiment with it, have been discussed, are putting into place? Is there a policy? Maybe that question can't be answered at this time, but it certainly is something that many towns are beginning to incorporate, and maybe a prompt for future discussion. So there's a lot there. Thank you.
I can speak to both of those things. So the first question, are we moving from Excel to another software? The answer is kind of. We have been using the NEMRIC software, which is New England something municipal. Yeah, it's a very commonly used in this part of the country accounting software. So all of our financial records are input into NEMRIC. That's how our payroll is done. It's how our bills are paid. It's how everything is calculated. And so we're utilizing that more thoroughly to do our budgets instead of. Ellie, our town treasurer, maybe has something to say also. Thank you.
There's also no AI involved at all.
Right. That was the second part.
So yes, I'm going to just reiterate what Erica said. We've been using NEMRIC accounting software. I think that first came in when Barbara Oles left. And we're continuing to use that. We have in the past gone from NEMRIC to spreadsheets and then use that spreadsheet to come up with the budgets. We're still using spreadsheets, but we are continuing to go back to the NEMRIC budget printouts to make sure that we are correct and that the addition is correct, the bottom line is correct, and I don't use AI at all, if I can help it. I just want to go back to page 15, if people want to follow. If that's okay with the select board, can I do that? So what the amendment to the article is if you look at page 15, the bottom number in the bottom right-hand corner, you see 1.4 million and change. And we're subtracting, if you go up to the first third of the page, to local public services, we're subtracting that 339,550, which is for the fire department, because we need to vote on that as an article. And we're also subtracting the social services, which again is in the bottom right-hand
of the page, right above the $1.4 million figure, it's $17,730. So those two numbers, the fire department number and the social services number, are coming out of the total at the bottom of the page because those articles need to be voted on. So when they get voted on, they will go back into the budget. Is that clear? Okay.
I just also want to make a statement that according to the Vermont Code of Ethics in regards to using AI, anytime a town or any municipality uses AI, they do have to reference the AI software that was used. So if you do not see in any minutes or anything from the town that there is not a statement that says this was created with this AI, it was not. Also, in accordance, if we do use AI, it does need to be proofread by a human. So that's just the general for folks to know. If we ever do, we will let you know that we have to.
Have we got the figures up on the screen? No.
I don't know, I'm having technical difficulties.
Okay, Teresa, the figures are still not up on the screen. Are you okay? Okay.
They're all on the same page
Okay.
of the town report.
Thank you, Ellie. Any other questions? Yes.
Lynn Pancake on Green River Road. Just a clarification. I'm assuming that when you want to compare this budget with last year's, that page 15 numbers are what we should be looking at. I guess my question is, if you take Article 10 from last year's notes on the previous page, back on page 75, we voted last year for $805,776 for taxes. So that must be incorrect, and I guess my question is, should that be corrected, and how would we compare that with what's on page 15?
So I think I understand what you're saying, Lynn. So the bottom number on page 15 is the total municipal budget, and that 880-something thousand you said was the number that we've calculated to be raised in taxes, which also, unfortunately, was incorrect. And that has created a multi-year shortfall in revenue for the town of Guilford. The select board is now taking very careful consideration of this year's budget and watching it. We won't know what the FY26 total impact is until the end of the year. But as we get closer to the end of the fiscal year, we will have a better idea, and the select board will make a few decisions about ways to fix that without or minimal taxpayer input. But I think, what the plan is currently is that they're looking at just not doing transfers to things like the asset management fund and other internal funds, and hopefully this year's sorry, Sheila can help. Okay, just saying hopefully this year the impact will not be so great.
So can I keep?
Sure.
So this is the problem of the revenue shortfall is one that the select board has discussed in its meetings and in the Gazette and probably elsewhere since last August. We've been working very diligently to correct mistakes that were on previous budget spreadsheets. And the last year's, the shortfall from fiscal year 25 did not have and will not have an impact, fiscal year 26 will not have an impact on taxes raised. That's why we can say comfortably that there's no increase in the budget this year. The figures were wrong, but we have not increased the budget from previous years. We are looking very carefully at if there's going to be any ongoing impact on either on the reserve fund or anything else in the community that would impact taxes, but at this point, it looks like we're in good shape. And I think that Erica or I or anybody on the select board could give you the articles and the references that we have made to this issue for 7 months. So if anybody has other questions, we can talk about it, and we can just repeat those, provide that information on an individual basis, but it's been out there for a long time.
Dolores.
Is this on? I will. It's Dolores Clark. I'm just, I guess I don't understand if we as a town voted on a budget for a certain amount. If we as a town voted on a budget, whatever it is, for a certain amount, like why is the select board able to go over that budget? Isn't that legally binding when you vote on an actual budget or on an article? That isn't what we have to live within those means?
So something that I have to keep reminding myself as I manage my budget and my mother's budget is a plan, not a promise. And that in this town, since for maybe 2007, maybe before, we created a reserve fund into which, if there is a budget surplus, in other words, if we do not spend all of the funds that we raise taxes for during the year, it goes into a reserve fund. That reserve fund is maintained to help us avoid debt and to deal with unanticipated expenses. There's some other explanation for that reserve fund. If we go over budget, which we have done in a few years, then we can draw on the reserve fund to cover unanticipated expenses. If we go under budget, we can put from year to some years more money into that reserve fund. And there is a stipulation that it's 5 to 20% on any year of operating expenses for general and highway funds, 003 and 009 funds. So I could plan to spend $2,000 a year on groceries and spend $187,000 instead, maybe not. But I would have to draw on a reserve fund or beg from the community for money. So we don't do that. We have been proactively saving money in this community to avoid emergencies or to unanticipated expenses or situations. So again, a budget is a guideline and a plan, not a promise.
Kelly?
Kelly Young, Coolidge Highway. I appreciate that we have this reserve fund, and hopefully we're able to use it in a way that really helps the town. What I'm wondering about is how is that determined? We have this budget. The town agrees that, yes, we can spend this amount on these things, and they represent what our values and our decisions are as a town. How is it determined that if something goes over, is it like, okay, well, we thought this particular thing was going to cost a certain amount, and it's $100 more, so we have to take it out of the reserve? Or are there other things that are, well, we didn't really budget for this, but the town really needs this, so we're going to take it out of? How is it determined, and who makes that determination? And also, what is the check and balance for that determination? Thank you.
So that's a great question, and I really hope, so we have on the town website all of our policies regarding funds. We have a whole page on the Capital Asset Management Fund, and we go through extensive deliberations if there is to be a transfer in or out of any of these funds. In the select board meetings. The select board's primary responsibility is to manage the fiscal issues of the town, the fiscal health of the town. So, reserve fund. Sorry, I've kind of lost my train of thought here. I know, excuse me. We have 4 to 5 budget meetings that are open to the public where we go through every single line item of these budgets. I will say that it's nice to have Tammy there because she generally contributes a lot of really good questions and asks us to really think through some things. But this is ultimately the budget that the select board presents to the town every year. It is our best guess from August through November for expenses that will begin in July of the next year and run through June 30th of the following year. So we're projecting 18 months out when we start the budget process. And I can use an example of, maybe Jimmy's going to help me here, a truck that would have cost, 200, give me a number, Jimmy, $1 million now costs $1.5 million. We could not have projected the impact that tariffs would have had on parts for repairs of our trucks, our highway equipment, or on general costs. I'm pretty sure the fire department can speak to this too at this point. So we do our best to plan for going forward in the future that is completely unknown. And then we have these cushions that this town has provided over the years very carefully to help us get through those unknown periods.
Tammy. And then Jimmy.
Thank you. Oh, sorry, Tammy Sargent, and I'd like to sit so I can look at my papers while I talk, if that's all right. What I would like to make, I would like to amend the motion, which would reduce it by $248,914. I'll explain where I came up with those numbers in a second. I would also, and I don't know if I do this at the same time, but I would also like to request a paper ballot, and we don't have any yet. So if that's when we do vote, I would request a paper ballot, so if we could get some. So the way I came up with my numbers for the reduction that I would like to see in that overall 003 budget is on March 5th, 2024, Article 11, the town voted to spend no more than $14,500 for an assistant town administrator and the assistant treasurer. So we voted that in March of 2024 for the 2025 budget. We ended up spending over $27,000 for those two positions in 2025 when we had just barely approved no more than $14,500. Now we're proposing in this year's budget for 2027, $38,414. So we're over $23,914 over Article 11 that we voted on in 2024. The other amount that I'm looking at is for the capital fund. So I think that's what we called it, capital fund on page 18. We now have a fund balance of $652,206.32, which is a pretty good chunk of change. But back in 2007, Article 4, we voted on this fund, which considers real and planned expenditures. Now the fund reads both planned and unplanned. And I just heard the select board, possibly Erica, just stated that there is a possibility that that $225,000 that we're allocating to add to the capital fund is not going to get put into the capital fund, but in fact be put into the reserve fund. I feel as though over $600,000 in the capital fund is probably enough to purchase a truck if need be last minute. And the added expense on the assistants is a huge increase from something that only 2 years ago we were told wouldn't be more than $14,500.
So, Tammy, do you want to read your amendment?
I would like the amendment to decrease the overall amount by $248,914.
248, and what was it, hundreds?
914.
924? 914, okay. We're going to need that, the actual figure, if someone could do that before we can start talking about this, because I've got to read it. So you're reducing the $1,050,336. Oh no, I'm reading the amendment. I'm sorry. So are you saying reduce the amount in the amendment or the amount in the original article? In the amendment. Okay. All right. So we're now discussing an amendment to an amendment. Can we get a second? Dolores. 1 sec. Can we get the arithmetic done? Does somebody have a calculator there on it?
801,422. Okay.
801,422?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, so the amendment to the amendment reads, shall the voters of the town of Guilford authorize general fund expenditures of $801,422, is that right? For the fiscal year July 1, 2026 through June 30th, 2027, for which $883,356 will be raised through taxes. Well, now we've got to change that figure too. We've got to change to 883. Can someone check that? 634,142? No, 634,442. 442.
And then 166,980 from non-tax revenue.
Right. Okay. That was Kim Frost. Okay, so let me read this again because it's important. Shall the voters of the town of Guilford authorize general fund expenditures of $801,422 for the fiscal year July 1, 2026 through June 30th, 2027, for which $634,442 will be raised through taxes and $166,980 through non-tax revenue. Is there discussion? Are we ready? Okay. Ann?
I'd like to hear the select board say why possibly they think this is not possible. I thought Tammy's explanation was interesting and had merit, but I'd like to understand why the select board think it would be a problem to make these cuts.
I can.
Sheila?
Okay, this is off the cuff, so, and completely not prepared for, but I think am I understanding, Tammy, that you would like the Uriel and Erica to have no assistance?
Microphone?
I just need to ask this question in order to be able to figure out an answer to that.
No, what I'm saying is they should not be spending more than $14,500, which is what we voted on in Article 11 in Town Meeting 2024.
Okay.
We voted to say no more than
So I don't know how much was spent in that year, that fiscal year, 24.
That I can. That was an addition to an existing assistant town clerk position and an assistant town administrator position that did not exist. So that amount is combining two things. That it was just an addition for 2024 to the budget. It's not representing an entire position.
So
can I just talk, you asked about 2024. Total in 2024, we spent $7,832. So in March of 2024, when it was requested that we spend no more than $14,500,
for one
that seemed
position?
very
For one position?
For both of them. I have a copy of it right here if you want it.
No, I'm just
for the assistant for both of them. So we went from spending less than $8,000, and we approved to spend up to $14,500. And now 2 years later, it's budgeted for fiscal year 27, over $38,000. So I'm thinking Article 11 made it very clear that we would spend no more than $14,500. So I'm asking for this year's to be adjusted back to $14,500 total for those two assistants.
Okay, that is incorrect. The Article 11 in 2024 was adding for two positions to the town office. That doesn't complete the picture. What you're comparing it to is an article amount from 2024, and now you're comparing two full positions' annual salaries to that, and that's not an accurate comparison.
Okay, Tammy, one more time.
I'm going to read word for word Article 11 because I did bring that town report. Article 11, the article to appropriate the expenditure of no more than $14,500 for increased assistant town administrator / assistant town treasurer staffing.
Increased is the key word there.
I'm sorry, increased?
In 2024, we voted to increase the budget for the assistants.
By that amount?
Yes.
Not to limit that amount, but to increase that amount.
That is not what it says. It says to appropriate the expenditure of no more than. It does not say increase.
Okay, other comments?
So
Sheila?
So let me, I cannot remember all of the discussions that took place in 24 over this. Was it in 24 or 23 that we had these discussions for the 24 budget? March of 24 for the budget that started in July of 24 and went through June of 26 this year. 25 this year, last year. Okay, so obviously things change. We did maybe overspend on a line. I don't know. I'm not even going to say we did or we didn't. I just don't have that information. But things change, including benefits, the cost of benefits, the wages, demands on town staff. And I think anybody who has been in our town office sees that we do not sit around gossiping, or they do not sit around gossiping. They work their butts off. And they are here Saturday morning and Thursday night and Monday evenings, and that is all overtime. So that I would just like people to acknowledge the hard work that our staff does. Before I get into the fund, the reserve, the capital fund that you want to talk about, Tammy, Ellie has something to add to this.
Ellie?
Thank you. Just a quick reminder, if we go back in time a little bit, this is a time period also when our town clerk at the time resigned. I stepped in and became the interim town clerk and had to keep my job as treasurer and delinquent tax collector. That's one of the reasons why we needed an assistant treasurer. We also had an incredible volunteer. Pete Hetzel came in and worked with the assistant treasurer to help with her getting on board and me being able to run a general election within 2 months of the town clerk resigning. So there were a lot of people pulling together to do a lot of work and a lot of research about how to do that work. So I just want to say that.
I haven't quite addressed the second part of it.
Verandah, Kelly, I'll get to you.
Sorry. I just wanted to provide a further context for this. As part of our select board work, we go to meetings of the Vermont League of Cities and Towns, and that gives us a really valuable opportunity to connect with people from towns and villages and cities all over Vermont. And the workload that accrues for town office staffs increases every year, and the burden of enforcing regulations and dealing with statutory requirements really stresses out people. Guilford isn't the only town that's facing an increased workload, and I think it's important to recognize that.
Okay, Kelly had her hand up, and then Ann.
Kelly Young, Coolidge Highway. I think we can all understand that things are getting more expensive, and health insurance, for one, is rising. So with that understanding, I'm just asking for some clarification about the 14,000, if I'm remembering the number, 14,000 from that time when the town approved that. Is that number already kind of baked in the budget, and then this 38,000 is on top of that, or is this 38,000 an amount that is the 14,000 plus? Does my question make sense? Does it make?
I can attempt to answer. The article in 2024, which was for increased assistant town administrator and assistant town treasurer staffing, was 14,500. That was, so there was already an assistant town treasurer position at a certain number, I don't know what it was, and there was not an assistant town administrator. So that number is, let's say, 1.5 people in addition to what was already in the budget. So I think the number that you're saying, 38,000, is for 2 whole positions.
So this is an increase in personnel. Is that what this is representing?
Well, it is not well, there is actually. In the budget workshop, we added some hours to the assistant town administrator budget.
But I guess maybe that is an interesting piece of information, and thank you. But I'm not sure if that I understand whether my question had been answered. The 14,000 that was allocated for the staffing, the 38,000. Is the 14,000 and whatever it is that we pay for salary and benefits for the personnel, is that already in the budget, or is this 38,000 on top of what we had been spending, including that 14,000? And if so, does that, what is that additional 38,000 expected to be allocated for? I mean, are we looking for increasing the hours of people working there? Are we looking for more staffing? What is that sort of supposed to be attributed to? If that makes any sense. Thank you.
Let me.
Okay.
I just don't know how to. I mean, things have changed so dramatically in the last 3 years that there's a line: town administrative assistant wages and assistant treasurer wages.
Ellie.
Ellie, microphone.
Luna, could you give the mic to Ellie, please? Thank you.
Sir? Thank you. Erica, you can help me out with this. So we've started at first with an assistant treasurer. That position was 10 hours a week. Then we added an assistant town clerk when I became interim, and that was 10 to 15 hours a week because we had a general election coming up. And then we added an assistant town administrator, 10 hours a week. When, let's see, when I became the interim town clerk, the assistant treasurer had to take on more responsibilities, so the assistant treasurer went up to 15 to 20 hours a week. All those positions do not have benefits. They are not positions, they have holidays and sick time, but they do not have insurance, any insurance, and they are not part of VEMR's, which is the retirement plan. So we added what we needed to get through the year. And because of some of the things the select board has mentioned, specifically Verandah, we haven't reduced those hours because of the need in the office to complete the work that needs to be done. And I believe, Erica, if you could help me, this current budget for 27 increases assistant town administrator?
Yes.
Yes, by how many hours?
Let's see. I think we did about 2.5 hours a week, if I'm not mistaken.
So we're up to 12 to 13 hours a week from 10. So that's what the current budget reflects. I'm not sure where the $37,000 or $38,000 figure came from. I think Tammy was probably adding at least 2 positions together. So I just wanted to clarify those hours. And the team that is working to complete the work.
And okay, Sarah, you had your hand up before. Go ahead. Can Sarah have a microphone?
So, Sarah Coffey, Fitch Road. I just want to encourage voters to vote against this amendment, and I'll say why. The amount of money that it's so important for towns to put money into a capital reserve fund, not only for the rising costs of equipment, but what it does is for projects, infrastructure projects, the town is eligible to get matching funding from the state, at which for every dollar a town puts in, we can get $4 from the state. If this fund goes down, it means that our bridges are so expensive to fix, and the costs are only going up. If people support this amendment, we are reducing our capital reserve fund that we all know that we are in need of supporting our infrastructure, and the repairs for our infrastructure, like those projects, outlast the amount of dollars. We know that we've heard over the years how we very carefully, the select board, plans for those projects. So I just would say I'm very appreciative of the work that the select board does and puts into this budget, and also the folks who work in our town office, which are clearly, I think, is in the last couple of years, we've really have a great team. So I would ask that people vote against this amendment.
Okay, now who called the question? Ann did, okay. All right, the question's been called. We will now vote to whether or not to cease debate. It takes a 2/3 vote. All those in favor of ceasing debate, please say aye. Aye. All those opposed to ceasing debate, say nay. Okay, we've ceased debate. Now we are ready to vote on Tammy's amendment, which I will read. Oh, we've got to have paper. She wants a paper ballot.
Point of order? That'll be a separate motion now. Yeah, I was going to say, first you have to approve whether the amendment is going to get accepted before we...
Okay, let's see. All right, let's vote on the amendment. No, wait. You want a paper ballot on whether to accept the amendment. Right, that's what she's asking for. Parliamentarian?
Tammy, where are you calling for a paper ballot? Your amendment or their amendment?
My amendment.
Your amendment,
My
you'd
amendment to their amendment.
So you'd like a paper ballot on what your number is?
Right, on what I'm proposing.
Do we have 7?
Okay. Are there 7 people wanting a paper ballot? Raise your hands or stand, please. Can someone count them?
Oh, for crying out loud.
1, 2, 3. Okay, I see 7 people. Do we vote on a paper ballot? No, they can. Yeah, she's done. Now we got to do a paper ballot.
All right. All right. So we did not hand out paper ballots at the beginning because we were not aware of anyone calling for a paper vote, and nor did we think that there'd be anything complicated in any of the articles to need a paper vote. So what the process will be is that we will have to have folks come back up to the check tables. We're going to move the check tables to the front of the stage. And that way you can go into your individual checklist. It'll be labeled the same way it was when you came in. We will individually then hand out to every voter that comes to get their ballot. You will be handed a pencil, and then you will have as much time as you need to, actually no, I think as quickly as possible to say that, then I will have a ballot box on top of this desk that I have been sitting in. It will be sealed. That seal will be kept on as we collect the ballots. Then all the V.S.A members that are currently present to help count will take a moment to count, and the meeting will then at that point take a break until we are able to come back together and give the final vote for this amendment.
So line up at the tables?
Yeah.
Thanks.
Okay, we are voting on Tammy's amendment, and that amendment reads, shall the voter of the Town of Guilford authorize general fund expenditures of $801,422 for fiscal year July 1, 2026 to June 30th, 2027, of which $634,442 will be raised through taxes and $166,980 through non-tax revenue.
I think we should put in there by stipulation, by removing the capital.
So we're voting on
Okay. We're not voting on that
And
amount.
then what I'm going to ask is as you hand out the ballots, you circle the check that you originally made when they came
That's
in.
not in the,
You need help?
that's not,
Stand right here.
We might need some moral support. I have no doubt. Okay.
if you vote no, then you don't want.
I am Hicker Lingo. Oh, yeah.
So people, one more announcement here. If I've been asked to clarify, an aye vote will reduce the town general fund by the amount Tammy specified, $248,000 roughly. And a nay vote will not reduce, is a vote not to reduce the general fund.
Is the E open? Eastman.
10 years.
David.
Let's go vote, Verandah.
What?
Reducing the budget.
Take this. Oh, okay.
Which clarifies.
That would be Clark Dolores. Dolores Clark.
Sure.
I was doing it backwards.
This guy's trouble.
So, a yes is to accept the new budget.
Yes, it's reduced.
The new budget, yep.
This Irwin. With it, Irwin.
All right, people, can I have quiet, please, for 1 minute? Can we stop talking for 1 minute? Can everybody stop talking? There is some confusion. An aye vote means you support Tammy's request to reduce the budget by the general fund by some $248,000. A nay vote means you reject that proposal, and we'll go back to the original amendment, which takes out the $39,000 and the social service $17,700.
Franklin, John.
Is that clear?
Get one of these, right?
On the card, circle the one you want, yes or no.
I don't want to unwrap it.
People, please sit down.
Oh, great. And so what kind of fruit is it?
Elderberry, raspberry, apple, big plum, cranberry,
Oh, that is so sweet.
Can we have quiet, please? Can we have quiet, please? Shh, 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 shh. Thank you. Now, in the interest of killing two birds with one stone, it's been proposed that we hear from Zon Eastis, our representative to Montpelier, while the votes are being counted before lunch. Is that agreeable? Zon will be 5 or 10 minutes. Okay. Come on up, Zon.
Yeah.
He's gonna speak right here.
I believe Uriel's in the hallway doing it, or the V.S.A.
Hello, everyone. Hello, hello, hello.
Hi,
Well, here we are, democracy in action, right? This is great. I first want to just get this in order. I see. That's okay. Here I am. So my name is Zon Eastis, and I am representative for Guilford and Vernon, and I would like to first thank you for the opportunity to represent you and to serve in the State House. I personally, I find it to be an incredibly rich and rewarding experience. So I'm very grateful to you for allowing me to be in the State House. I'm interested to know how many people have actually been to the State House in Montpelier. Can you raise your hands? Oh, good. So Guilford's well represented. Anytime you know that you're coming to the State House for any reason, it'd be great if you contact me. It's impossible to set up meetings in the State House, as you probably know, some of you trying to chase us down. But there's a good chance that I might be able to see you at lunchtime or something like that. So I'd love to see folks if you come up that way. I want to just talk for a moment about the kinds of things that we're thinking about in the State House right now. This year is really characterized by the federal landscape, the many adjustments and changes and things we still don't know about budgeting and so forth from the federal point of view. That's one of the issues that we're dealing with. Then there's the governor's budget for next year, which we're looking at, and his various, I would call them demands regarding education governance going forward. I'm sure a lot of you are very aware of the issues or the big notion that there's a question about how we will pay for education going forward. And the governor has said that this year he will not approve a budget unless there are districts drawn, new districts in the state of Vermont. So that's a conversation that's going on, but it's a backdrop against everything that we're looking at. And I also want to just say that it's very clear to me as I'm working with the legislators at the State House, it's an amazing group of people, and these people are concerned about the top priorities that voters sent us all, and I don't think there's any disagreement about what those priorities are among all the legislators that I'm in touch with, and in fact probably all legislators, about property taxes. We understand that very clearly, I think, and I think it's the largest issue that we're dealing with. It doesn't, oops.
Excuse me. I've got to interrupt for 1 minute. Do any of you still have your green cards, your green slips? Because those are the ones you need to vote with. So if you did not use the green slip, please, you can fill it out and bring it up quietly. Sorry for the interruption.
Wow. Color-coded voting, who knew? It's the top one, I guess, huh? Sort of lime green or something? Neon green? Yeah. If you need to get one, you can come up front here. All right. I'll continue talking in all the hubbub. All right. Okay. So I think the legislature really understands about the need to address property taxes. One of the things that's true about the government, even at the state level, is that it's slow and things take time. I see on the horizon that property taxes are going to be stabilized. I see it coming. I can't promise it for this year. I can't even necessarily promise it for the next year. But I definitely see that the legislature is looking at opportunities to provide at least stabilized tax relief going forward. So I'll keep you posted about that. I don't have anything that I can say right now because we're still dealing with the budget and we're still dealing with tax appropriations are being built right in the next few weeks. I touched lightly on the education governance issue. You do know that there are 119 school districts in the state of Vermont right now. Governor Scott recommended that we slip that right neatly and tidily down to 5 districts. That's not going to work. It's just simply not going to work. There are proposals right now in both the House and the Senate for many fewer than 119 districts. I will say that the district that we are in, our 4-town, 5-town if you include Vernon and the supervisory union, that district is actually the kind of model that many districts, many non-districts around the state of Vermont are looking at. So I feel like our district is probably quite quite safe when we think about change, when we think about the possibility of closing schools. I don't see that happening in our district. And I don't know that for certain, but I don't see that happening. If anything, I imagine that this 4-town district might become like a 6 or 7-town district, and we might absorb some of the nearby towns. But for many towns in the state of Vermont, they've never even had these kinds of questions. We're working with next door towns, and that's the kinds of issues that towns all across Vermont are facing. We've already talked a little bit, we've heard it mentioned about the notions of health care. It's just amazing how costs are rising, and there's so very little that the legislature can actually do. I want to just point one data point for you. This year's budget for the state of Vermont, the entire budget, is $9.4 billion. I don't know if you know that Vermonters on health care and health insurance spend $10.5 billion per year. Vermonters spend more on health care and health insurance than the entire Vermont state budget. The portion of the budget, and that includes Vermont's portion that the state pays for health care. If we were to, the portion of the pie, of the insurance pie, and that expenditure that Vermonters make that the legislature has control over is about 35%. So no matter how much we alter and reduce costs in healthcare under our control, 65% of the costs are completely out of our control. They're mostly in private health insurance companies' control. So we're doing what we can. There have been a lot of incredible steps that have been taken over the last year, and there are more that are planned. But just to give you a sense about that. And then the fourth big issue, so the property taxes, education governance, healthcare, and housing in the state of Vermont. That doesn't affect Guilford so much, but we are losing our capacity to move forward as a state by being able to provide housing, so that we're losing population, we're losing the ability to bring good, solid workers into the state in the entire spectrum because of the lack of housing in the state. So there's a lot of work being done there, some very good starts. Just so you know, in the next 5 years, for us to get back on track with housing, we need to have about 35,000 housing starts in Vermont in the next 5 years to catch up with where we have been. So there are adjustments and changes being made to Act 250. There are new programs with communities and lenders and development corporations that are beginning to loosen and change some of the ways that we think about how we're addressing housing in the state. So those kinds of issues are at the forefront. I do want to mention two other things that are very important for all of us in the state, and they're things that we're all looking at in different ways, and that's the issue of homelessness. Those of us who spend time in Brattleboro are very aware of that issue, and it's a very tough issue all across the state. But I happen to be on the Human Services Committee, and we're addressing that as best we can. We've made a commitment to the governor this year that the proposal that we have for dealing with homelessness will not go outside of his budgeted recommendation for how much money to spend. Last year, he vetoed the proposal for homelessness, and the year prior to that, he vetoed the proposal because, from his point of view, they were too expensive. This year, we've made the commitment that we're going to do what we can inside his budget numbers. We'll see how that goes. Don't know yet exactly. I also want to mention the notions of land use reform in the state of Vermont. Many of you are very aware of Act 250. Many of you are learning probably about Act 181, which is a bill that was an act that was enacted a couple years ago that addresses some of the issues around Act 250, and it's getting a lot of attention right now, and it bumps up into our local issue of zoning, which I know there's a strong conversation here in Guilford. I don't know if you know that 80% of Vermont communities have zoning. Guilford is one of the 20% 50% of communities in the state of Vermont that has no zoning. I'm not a proponent for it or against it. What I am a proponent of is the community being engaged in conversation about going forward, because there is zoning coming down from the state. I'm not talking about individual zoning, but large land use planning is coming down from the state closer and closer to every single town in Vermont. So I think it's important for us all to be parts of those conversations. I just also want to say a couple more things, and that's that things that I'm watching. Some of you are aware that Mark Anderson, the sheriff, Windham County Sheriff, has been proposing a regional policing program. His notion, he's done a lot of work in the Senate, and a bill was just passed out of the Senate last week. It will come to the House, and it uses Windham County as a model for how to think about regional policing. So we'll be talking about that and hearing about that. I also want to mention that a bill that just passed is coming back to go to the governor probably the first day when we get back to the session, Tuesday, the 11th, I think, 10th, something like that. Anyway, that's about immunizations. The House and the Senate have both passed a bill. It just needs to get one final step before it goes to the governor to make sure that we have authorized our Commissioner of Health to develop a schedule for immunizations that's distinct from the Center for Disease Control and Prevention. I want to be very clear that this bill in no way mandates that anybody in Vermont has to be vaccinated. There's no mandate for that. It's just that the commissioner will have the authority to develop a schedule of immunizations. That's the technical term, schedule of immunizations. That's very similar to what was in place about a year ago, and it has been altered of late by the federal government. There's another bill that, how about this? I was told when I first went to the House, don't ever imagine that any bill you propose is going to actually get anywhere. I was told that by several longer standing folks than me. Well, some citizens wrote to me about a particular issue. I talked to a few other colleagues in the state, and what do you know? Here's a bill coming, and it's coming. It's gathering a lot of attention, and it's about land posting. And maybe some of you bumped into some issues from your town clerk, our town clerk here in Guilford. In every town, there's been some rather awkward ways in which we need to be posting land if we post land, individual posters, and that's this bill is addressing that and looking at that and trying to make more sense out of it, make it more simple, make it more straightforward. So I want to thank the folks in Guilford here. I heard from a few folks about that and got me to propose that bill. I also want to just acknowledge that the Windham County delegation, there are 11 of us that meet together on a regular basis, and we're meeting with Brattleboro Memorial Hospital on a regular basis to talk with them about how things are going there at the hospital. It's a very important institution in our community. We want to make sure that it thrives, and we want to and so we're meeting with them, hearing their experiences, and offering to help where we can. But I just want to really state that the communication lines are open. All right, now, just here we are at the end. I want to just let you know that I want to connect with you. I'm a better legislator when you speak with me, when you let me know what you're thinking about, if that matters to you. I have a website. I can be contacted on that website. If you type my first name in, Zahn, Vermont, you'll get my website. It will just pop right up. I won't have to. I also send out a monthly newsletter, so you can sign up for that on my website if you want to be engaged and want me to inform you about what's going on a monthly basis. I have monthly meetups, one in Guilford, one in Vernon, every month. No, that's not quite right. Let's say it again. 1 month in Guilford, the next month in Vernon. That's what I mean. Then back and forth between the two towns. And then if you really have some couch time, I do a podcast with my seatmate in the House. There's one person in the House that you're the closest to. That happens to be Representative Goodnow from Brattleboro. We're both freshmen, and we do a podcast called The Zip, Zahn Ian Podcast. And if you go to BCTV and look up The Zip, you'll find last season there were 5 podcasts, and we're starting it again. And it's just our experiences about what we're doing. I'd love for you to contact me, and I want to thank those folks who have already contacted me a lot during the year, and I really appreciate it. It makes me, I feel, a stronger legislator. So I hope that gives a sense. I've put on some seats, there's a town meeting report. I didn't get it on every seat, and if you want one, I've got some extras here. Come up and talk to me. I'll be here for lunch and for the rest of the meeting. Thanks very much, folks.
Thank you, Zahn. Where do we stand in the count? Okay, they're counting. We have a special event we can do. Before we do that, I just got to say that looking out to see if people during the paper ballot, I was struck by the fact that paper ballot is not only a way to cast a secret ballot, but it's also a way to catch up with people we haven't seen all year and really catch up. Okay, we've got a special event now while the votes are still being counted, and I would ask Bobby Howman to come up and lead us.
This is in case I get coughing. Hi. This is a special day in that we need to honor someone very special. This person is one who oftentimes provides a poem to honor others. But since it's for her, we couldn't ask her to write it. I didn't write it. I had a part. There's a bunch of people who had a part of this. And now I want you all to take part in, occasionally I will signal you like this. Oh, no. And this is one of her techniques oftentimes. She likes participation. So when I do this, you're going to say, Huzzah, Verandah. It takes a poet to raise a town, and homage to Verandah Porche. Homage, its silent H is like a ladder with one distant rung, and those are Verandah Porche's words. And how often Verandah has climbed that ladder in praise songs and tributes to many and sundry in our wide community. Now it's our turn. Verandah listens with her heart open. She knows careful listening with deep respect for process and people creates common ground. How we speak to one another matters. Her words help our community recognize itself, and Guilford is richer for her voice. Huzzah, Verandah. She weaves words to capture the essence of her friends, neighbors, and others. She honors while carrying the challenges of her dearest ones and her community. It is not easy to navigate the politics of a small town. Let's face it, serving on the select board is a thankless job. There's always someone in the stands waiting to shoot their arrows. It was true when we were kids growing up, and I can vouch for that. It is true now. Today, let's greet Verandah with a mighty cheer of appreciation. Huzzah, Verandah. From pariah to pillar, she's woven herself into the culture and life of our town. teaching us with her compassionate perspective. Cherish its beauty, understand its diversity of viewpoints, champion harmonious community, care for neighbors in sickness and health. Let us celebrate her commitment to Guilford and the beauty of this place we all call home. Huzzah, Verandah. Among Verandah's many gifts to our community, kitchen talks told stories of those who lived here before. Brook Anthology, a stage play based on those recollections. Praise poems for so many townspeople who have served us. Poetry writing with our children in Guilford school classrooms. Lending an ear as a Guilford pen pal, cemetery commissioner, emergency manager, a keen observer of those around her, connecting us together through our mycorrhizal roots with kindness and a burning sense of social justice. Huzzah, Verandah. Through 40 years of seasons, we have climbed the hill with you and learned to see the world from a wider view. The hill taught us some of that, Verandah, but mostly it was you. Huzzah, Verandah. Now, the folks who plotted this little attack have put together this gorgeous gift. And I think you may find when you stay for lunch, which is very important, particularly because it's provided by our own Guilford Country Store, there will be not birthday cake, honorarium celebration cake. I'm just the presenter, that's all. I'm just one little keg in the wheel. Thank you.
Bobby.
All right. I'm not sure if this is in the book. If it isn't, you can have it.
I'll need a copy of that for Muriel's minutes.
Okay. Thank you. So I'll hand it back over to Rick.
And I'm going to add to what Bobby just was doing. I have a gift for Verandah from the whole select board. Thank you so much for your 9 years of serving Guilford on the select board and before that and beyond that.
Well, I am verklempt, as we used to say in the old country.
Thank you, Erica. Thank you, Bobby. Well done. Wow. Do we have a result yet? We're running out of events. Ways to stall time.
Oh, I can make an announcement.
Does somebody want to sing? Oh, Erica's got an announcement.
I have a small announcement. So there are some extra copies of the town report in these bins over here, and there are also some extra copies of the Guilford Guide. If you didn't receive that in the mail, you can pick it up here.
Okay, we can do two things. We can either break for lunch now and come back and hear the result of the vote, or we can wait for the result. What's your pleasure? How many people want to break for lunch? Say aye. Aye. How many people want to wait for the vote? Say aye.
Paper ballot.
Yeah, paper ballot, right, yeah. That's a great joke. Okay, if you want to break for lunch, please stand up. Let's see. Well, the Board of Civil Authority is busy. Oh, 2 minutes, okay. I guess that settles it.
It'll just make us all a little hungrier for cake.
Oh, what, Alex, you want to sing? Okay.
My sister
Oh, you want to make an announcement? Yeah, tiny.
and maybe Linda.
Come on.
Oh, Linda Lemke. Or Susan. Well, Susan's right.
There it is.
That's right. Right. Oh, that's wonderful.
How we all doing today? Woo! Hi, I'm Alex. I'm kind of a new resident here, but I'm here on behalf of Wyndham Solid Waste. How many people use the transfer station? Cool. How many people are composting at home? Woohoo! That's why my compost drop-off isn't doing so well. I just wanted to put a face to a name that you might have seen on Front Porch Forum. I'm also the outreach coordinator there, so I'm here to answer any questions about what's going on in the world of recycling, what can I compost at home versus what can I bring to the transfer station. And I just wanted to introduce myself, so I appreciate this little bit of time. And I'll be by the waste station at lunch to help the things go where they need to go, so. Oh, funny you should ask. It's right here at the school. You'll see it when you're leaving. It's in a little dog kennel with a cover. It got damaged by the snow, but a lovely community member put it back together. So if that's something that you're interested in, there's a QR code there. There's an email, or we can just talk. It's going to be $10 a month to use, as long as there's only a little amount of people using it, but as that number grows, it'll get cheaper. And all of that goes to Wyndham Solid Waste for composting. So meat, bones, dairy, cooking oil, certified compostable products can all go in there. Compost makes the world go round. Lisa. You can compost a certified compostable coffee cup, but regular coffee cups have a plastic liner, and those should go in the trash. They can't be recycled. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Alex. Microphone.
Give Uriel a microphone.
All right, thank you everyone for your patience. So out of a total of 162 votes casted today in regards to the amendment proposed by Tammy, we received a total of 55 yeses, 103 noes, and 4 blank votes, which leads to a no. Thank you.
Okay, you have rejected the amendment to the amendment. I assume we want to wrap this up before lunch, right? If we can?
Do it.
Okay, so we'll go back to the amendment. Shall the voters of the Town of Guilford authorize general fund expenditures of $1,050,336 for fiscal year July 1, 2026 to June 30th, 2027, for which $883,356 will be raised through taxes and $166,980 through non-tax revenue. Is there any discussion? Are you ready to vote on the amendment?
Yes.
All those in favor of the amendment, which I just read, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. The ayes have it, and you have amended Article 6. All right, now we will vote on Article 6, which reads just as the amendment read. Shall the voters of the Town of Guilford authorize general fund expenditures of $1,050,336 for the fiscal year July 1, 2026 through June 30th, 2027, for which $883,356 will be raised through taxes and $166,980 through non-tax revenue? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. The ayes have it, and you have approved Article 6. Is there any objection to breaking for lunch? I think they're ready for us. And I hope you will all stay. We've got more business this afternoon, and I hope to see you. Thank you. Okay, we'll resume at 1:30 at the latest. That's 1 hour. Okay, we're back in session, and we're up to Article 7. Do I hear a motion?
Article 7. Fire Department.
Sorry,
Sheila.
Article 7. Speaking of unanticipated expenses over the last 3 years, shall the town raise and appropriate the sum of $339,550 for the Guilford Volunteer Fire Department, of which $304,550 goes toward operating expenses and $35,000 towards its capital improvement funds? I move that we.
Is there a second? Verandah, second. Verandah. Okay, I'll read Article 7 and put it on the floor. Shall the town raise and appropriate the sum of $339,550 for the Guilford Volunteer Fire Department, of which $304,550 goes towards operating expenses and $35,000 towards its capital improvement fund? Is there any discussion?
Rick?
Tara?
So I want to begin by saying that I fully understand and deeply appreciate the importance of the Guilford Volunteer Fire Department for our town. Our firefighters provide an essential service, and we are incredibly fortunate to have volunteers who dedicate their time and energy to protecting our community. Historically, the fire department was supported with approximately $25,000 from the town. They were independent from the town, and most revenue was generated by fundraising. I do understand that now there are expensive upgrades and a lot more calls that require advanced equipment and care. Today, a homeowner with a $400,000 home is paying $394 towards the fire department portion of their property taxes. That is a significant increase over time, and I believe it's important for us to openly discuss sustainability and fairness as we plan for the future. I recognize that fundraising takes time, volunteers, and tremendous effort. I was encouraged to read in the report that the recent tanker engine purchased was largely covered through funds raised by the raffle. And that's a great example of community support in action. With that in mind, I'd like to ask, are there additional fundraising options we could explore to help offset future capital expenses? And I know the answer to this, but I just want to clarify. Can we confirm that the tanker engine purchase through fundraising is separate from and not the same as the truck currently planned for purchase in 2029? My intention here is not criticism at all, but clarity. As taxpayers, we have a responsibility to understand both the financial impact and the long-term plans so we can make informed decisions together as a community.
Beth? Microphone.
Thank you. So I'll try to address a couple things first. Oh, I'm sorry, Beth Bristol. I'm the treasurer of the Guilford Volunteer Fire Department. So I'm going to start by speaking to what the budget request is this year, and then, Tara, I'll address your concerns. So what we're asking for this year is actually a part 2 to what we asked for last year. If you recall, last year we talked about the need for the new fire truck that, Tara's right, is on track for purchase or delivery in 2029. when we did our analysis for that fire truck, we found that we needed to essentially double the line item that we were currently contributing to the truck fund in order to have a significant enough down payment to keep our debt service line the same, so we didn't have to ask for more money to pay the debt. So we are on track for that. We did invest our reserve fund with Edward Jones, as we talked about at town meeting last year. And so what we were asking for last year was an additional $18,000. Our budget at the time was 36, and we needed to double it, but we felt like asking the town for the full 36 in 1 year was too much. So we proposed 18 last year, and we're proposing another 18 this year to, again, double that line item. And that will set us up to be able to make the down deposit that we need to for the new truck in 2029. Also, the additional fund of the $35,000, if you recall, that originally was budgeted by the town, and we were requested last year to incorporate that into our budget just to make things easier. So that's what that is. That's not really an additional money. It's just coming from the town into the fire department budget. So that's this year's. It's an additional $18,000 plus moving that 35 in. And then to Tara's question, so yes, the purchase of, and it's not a new tanker pumper, but there was a purchase of a new utility truck this year that was paid for mostly with the fundraising, the new fundraising expenses. That is separate from the purchase of the new engine 2, which is on track to take delivery in 2029. I think we talked last year about the price increases of trucks over time. When we bought our engine 1, I think it was $400 and something thousand. This engine 2 that we're taking delivery in 2029 was $1.3 million. So in order to, again, keep our debt service payments the same, we need to have about $1 million down payment on the truck. So we are on track for that. Again, we have our money in an investment. With this additional money that we've asked for, we are on track for that, which, by 2029, we should have enough money to keep that budget line item the same. So to address your other question, the majority of our budget actually does go towards capital expenditures. Right now, our budget, and this is common for a lot of volunteer fire departments, when we do our budget, all of our line items are just included in one. And we did consult with our auditor and ask them if that was an okay way to do things. And they said it's very common for volunteer fire departments to budget everything together in one budget. So it includes operating and capital. If we were to break our capital expenses out from our operating budget, it's more than half of our budget goes towards capital expenditures. So that includes our debt service, that includes our capital funds, which is both truck and building capital reserve funds, and then it also includes the purchase of new capital equipment each year. So we purchase 2 sets of gear each year and 2 air packs each year, both of which are very expensive. They have lifespans. So we have them in a rotation to make sure that we're replacing the equipment in the time that it needs to stay, safe and usable. So the majority of our budget is for that. The operating budget, which is less than half, but it's very close to 50-50. But our operating budget, as was discussed at pre-town meeting, we were asked how our budgets compared to other towns. And I think Jared spoke to the fact that it's really hard to compare budgets between fire departments because we're all structured so differently. So we are independent of the town. We're a self-run organization. Other departments in our local towns are run by the town. There's all sorts of different configurations of how the departments are run, so it's not really comparing apples and apples. But Dummerston is most closely configured to how Guilford is. So we did look at the Dummerston operating budget compared to our operating budget. And again, if we were to divide our budget out and take the capital out and look at just the operating expenses, we're very, very close to the Dummerston. The
$300.
Go towards the part-time chief's position. That is different than Dummerston, so they don't do that. We also pay myself. The treasurer position is a paid position. Dummerston does not pay their treasurer. And then our officer positions each get very small stipends. In fact, some of our officers decline the stipend, so we don't typically spend all of that line item, but it is budgeted for. And those are the three line items that put our operating budget above Dummerston's, but other than that, they're very, very similar. I hope that helps.
Other questions or comments? Okay, I think we're ready to vote on Article 7.
Of southeastern Vermont, $3,000. Let's see. Yep. Interaction, formerly youth services, $1,605. Women's Freedom Center, $1,000. Groundworks Collaborative, $1,000. Retired Senior Volunteer Program, RSVP, $485. Senior Solutions, $850. Brattleboro Area Hospice, $300. Gathering Place, $500. Brattleboro Senior Meals, $350. Age Project of Southern Vermont, $350. Mover, formerly CT River Transit, $250. Sevka, $2,040. And Guilford Cares, $6,000. I move the article.
Second. Sheila, second. I'm sorry, but my list of organizations is incomplete. I don't know what happened. So I can't read them all back to you. Is that okay? Did anybody object? Okay. Any discussion on Article 8, Human Service Organizations? Okay, seeing none, we will vote on Article 8. And you'll have to fill in some of these for me. Shall the town raise and appropriate the sum of $17,730 for the following human service organizations? Healthcare and Rehabilitation Services of Southeastern Vermont, HCRS, $3,000. Oh, here we go. Interaction, formerly Youth Services, $1,605. Women's Freedom Center, $1,000. Groundworks Collaborative, $1,000. RSVP, $485. Senior Solutions, $850. Brattleboro Area Hospice, $300. Gathering Place, $500. Brattleboro Senior Meals, $350. AIDS Project of Southern Vermont, $350. The Mover, $250. Sevka, $2,040. Guilford Cares, $6,000. All those in favor of passing Article 8 signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed say nay. And you have passed Article 8. Article 9, do I hear a motion?
Article 9, shall the town authorize the town treasurer pursuant to 32 V.S.A. Section 4791 to collect current taxes without discount? I would like to move that we make a motion that the town authorize the town treasurer pursuant to 32 V.S.A. Section 4791 to collect current taxes without discount.
There's a second. Verandah. Okay, Article 9, shall the town authorize town treasurer pursuant to 32 V.S.A. Section 4791 to collect current taxes without discount? Any comment, any questions? Okay, we're ready to vote on Article 9, which I just read. I don't think I'll read it again. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed say nay. And you have passed Article 9. Article 10, is there a motion?
Shall the town vote that overdue taxes will bear interest at a rate of 1% per month or a fraction thereof from the due date of such tax to be charged after October 15th, which is 32 V.S.A. 5136. And just a quick footnote, last year the town voted to make taxes delivered after 5 o'clock and the due date late, and this is in effect until the town votes otherwise.
Okay, Article 10. Shall the town vote to... Oh, a second?
I'll make that motion.
Sheila.
Second.
Okay. Article 10, shall the town vote that overdue taxes will bear interest at the rate of 1% per month or fraction thereof from the due date of such tax to be charged after October 15th? Any questions, any comments? Hearing none, we'll vote on Article 10. All those in favor of Article 10 signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed signify by saying no, nay. And you have passed Article 10. That concludes the warned articles.
Well, there's 11.
I know, we have other business, which we're going to get to in a minute. With your indulgence, I'd like to turn it over to Erica to run a film from the school about what they've been doing this year.
All right. Let me. YouTube.
Hello, Guilford community, and welcome to this Eagle News special report. GCS students are eager to share what we've been learning this year, along with a few of our favorite school activities and events. First, we will hear from pre-K students about the birdhouse challenge they completed in the fall.
So, we had to find a treasure chest, and if we did, we could keep it, and we did.
Yeah, we had to solve all sorts of mysteries in order to be able to keep a birdhouse that has something really special
and
inside.
we did find a treasure chest.
Inside the birdhouse, there is a video camera.
We haven't watched it in a really long time.
We haven't watched it in a while, yeah. But for a while, we were watching and seeing who was visiting the birdhouse. And do you remember who came to visit?
Oh, I talked to Tin Mouse and a chickadee and Blue Jay.
Yeah, so we had some birds come and poke their heads in. Has anyone moved inside yet?
No.
No one's moved inside yet. But tell Adrian about what's hanging all around the birdhouse.
Thanks, pre-K, and a special thanks to Jimmy Carlin for all the engaging challenges he has put together for students. Next, second graders are excited to share some information about habits of character that can all cultivate to strengthen our communities and help make the world a better place.
Hi, my name is Bo, and his name is Chris, and we will be talking. So we will be talking about habits of character and what they mean and that stuff. Now, what does perseverance mean?
Perseverance means keep on trying and push through hard work.
Perseverance means I challenge myself when something is difficult, and when something is hard, we don't quit. But perseverance will sound like I'll try it again, and I'm not done yet. Now, how does this help your community? But it helps our community by
like if perseverance wasn't a thing, like it will persevere, the world will be, everyone will say, I give up. Mm-hmm. Tell me a time you showed perseverance. I showed perseverance by, like, when we were doing a U-Fly test, I pushed through it.
Great job, second grade. Fourth graders put a lot of work into their animal adaptations unit, creating essays, pop-up books, and choose-your-own-adventure stories. Here are Silas and Una with more info about the animals they researched.
The hippopotamus lives in sub-Saharan Africa and is an invasive species in Colombia. They live near rivers, lakes, and swamps. They need to live near a freshwater source big enough to submerge themselves in, and grass to graze on. In my fourth grade class with Miss Wilson, everybody made a pop-up book about a special animal that they choose. It was really, really fun, and here are some fun facts about hippos. Hippos weigh as much as a school bus, and even more. They have a very social structured, they have a very big social structure, just like us. And if you want to read, read my Choose Your Own Adventure about hippos, this is the QR code.
Hello, my name is Silas Laverity, and I am studying the meerkat. The meerkat is really cool. It's a really cool animal. They have claws that they can hunt with and really sharp teeth, and they are also super fast, and they live in burrows, and their what they eat is they eat caterpillars, bugs, grubs, beetles, worms, and ants. And they also eat other things that I probably don't know of, but they also they live in the African desert. They can also be in zoos. You can also, and African deserts are mostly sand and rocks and cactus.
Nice work, fourth grade. Next, sixth graders will give us some highlights from their favorite parts of the year so far. First up, Diem, Eliza, and Eloise talked to Sarah Razzo about fire circles.
Hi, my name is Sarah Razzo. I am the Farm to School Coordinator at Guilford Central School, which means I have the pleasure of gardening with students, cooking with students, and in the winter, cooking over fires with students. And this year, every class had the opportunity, once in January and once in February, to have a fire day when we spend about 90 minutes in the woods and the kids play in the snow and we cook something over the fire. And it's a joyous day for all when it happens.
When did you get the idea for fire circles?
When my daughter was in pre-K, Emma Halliwell introduced me to the idea of fire circles with kids, and I realized that if she can do it with pre-K, I could do it with anyone, and I learned that there are endless possibilities for things you can cook over the fire.
And what's your favorite part of fire circles?
There are so many things I love about fire circles, but I think my favorite thing is seeing the smiles on the kids' faces, seeing you guys playing and working together in a way that you don't normally have the opportunity to do in a regular classroom day.
What's your favorite way to put out a fire?
With the snow.
Next, Ada and Agatha talk about their work on EL with The Boy Who Harnessed the Wind.
The sixth graders have been reading The Boy Who Harnessed the Wind.
The book is about a boy in a small town in Malawi who survived a major famine and created a windmill to access power.
At the end of our unit, we did research about an inventor of our choice and their solution to a design problem. We used this design process to write essays about that topic.
Finally, we had a discussion about the book. Here are some pictures from our fishbowl discussion.
We'll hear from Mr. Damon along with a few returning band students who are excited to showcase the GCS music program after a fantastic winter concert.
What do you find most rewarding about the music program at GCS?
Most rewarding? I think that would be when I learn something new and I can pass it on to all the Guilford kids. It's so exciting to find out new stuff, and I'm finding out new stuff too.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that's the most rewarding. I don't know what I'm going to learn tomorrow, but I know there's something.
What do you like about teaching students at GCS how to play instruments?
I like the excitement that students get when they're trying something new. The first time that they actually make it through Donkey Round, it may have been the 1.26 time that I've played Donkey Round, but it's the first time that they've played it and they get so excited. I get excited when I get to play new instruments too. I'm getting to play a new instrument now at BUHS that I hadn't played since 1989.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, and it is so cool to get to play this thing again. So I get excited when you get excited, and I get excited when I get new instruments in my hand.
Yeah, that does sound
It's just way too cool.
Sorrel and Miles, as two of the people who have been in band the longest, what do you think about it?
I personally really like how positive everyone is. I personally think it's really cool that people can help each other in band. If someone doesn't know the note, another person can help them with that, and I think that's really cool.
As you can see, it has been an exciting year so far, and we are grateful for the opportunity to share our favorite moments with you all. Thanks for joining us for this special edition of Eagle News. All of us here at GCS extend deep gratitude and appreciation to the Guilford community for your support.
Whoops, I guess it's done.
That is so great. God, we love our school. All right, now we're at the other business part of the meeting, and I will entertain any motions or statements. Michael, microphone?
Yep. Article, what's that?
My name's Michael Hainish.
Hang on 1 second. Does this article need to be seconded or repeated, or no? It's just wide open, right? Pretty much. Anything that's not germane can't be discussed, but other than that, it's wide open.
Cool. Okay. My name's Michael Hainish. I live on Belden Hill above Sweet Pond. And I have a non-binding referendum I'd like to propose for our discussion and acceptance. I'd like to read, there's a number of these resolutions that are being proposed at various towns around the county and around the state. And some of them are very short, like ours, and some of them are go into much more detail. We've kind of taken pity on everyone's beleaguered brains at this hour of the day. We're proposing a short one, but after I read it, I'd like to recognize someone who has some very good background from the resolution that's being presented on Tuesday up in Putney that was written by Mike Murowicki. So here's the resolution, non-binding. The people of Guilford condemn the terror and murder being perpetuated by ICE operatives and call on the U.S. Congress to defund and abolish the agency as it now exists.
Been moved and seconded. Comment?
Okay, get the microphone.
Microphone?
Oh.
Thank you for doing the mic.
Sorry. Here you go. Thank you. Hi. My name is Dina Kale, and I'm a Guilford resident of Green River. And I'd like to share the resolution, the longer version of it, but I'm going to just cut some of it out to make it not so long. But this was written by Mike Morawski and Laura Lynette of Putney with the help from Indivisible, Brattleboro, and Migrant Justice. So let me put this down. Whereas ICE has increasingly conducted armed enforcement operations within cities and towns far from the border, resulting in fatal encounters, widespread fear, and serious concerns regarding the use of force, constitutional protections, and public safety, and whereas these actions reflect a broader national pattern in which ICE's presence in local communities has caused more harm than good. Now therefore be it resolved that the voters of the town of Guilford, Vermont express their opposition to the continuation of ICE in its current form and call upon Vermont's members of Congress to create law dismantling ICE and conduct full congressional oversight hearings into ICE's conduct, and be it further resolved, the voters urge the Vermont legislature to create legislation permitting civil actions in Vermont courts to hold federal agents accountable for violations of legal or constitutional limits.
Now, do you want to discuss that version or Michael's version?
They're all combined together, but just condemning the action and to have, just oversight of what is going on.
Yeah, well, if you're going to ask for a straw vote, we need to vote on one or the other when we vote. Is that what you're looking for?
I'm looking for a vote on the one that I presented.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I'm happy with that. It's very similar, just to have oversight.
Okay, that's
and
just
condemn
okay.
the actions as it is.
Okay, any questions, comments? Yes, Bert. Wait for the mic, please.
Bert Picard, resident of Guilford on Lee Road. Just to add to what Dina just read, Ann Ryder, I believe you sent us an email that says that 853 got voted out of committee, which kind of addresses that last point, I think, if I understand right, about Vermonters being able to bring suit against state or federal agents that violate our constitutional rights. So in a sense, if I'm right, that could be taken care of by our legislature. It's already before them, I believe.
Okay, but that's not part of the resolution that you're proposing.
No, but I'm just saying with the shorter resolution, we don't need to cover that additionally because that's going to be addressed by our legislature in Montpelier, as I understand it.
Okay. Devin, did you want to speak? Yeah, it's coming.
Devin Guilford, Lake Ridge Road. If there are yay votes enough so much that the town adopts this resolution, are there instances in which the federal government is withholding grants and federal monies to townships, counties, and states for which these resolutions are adopted? And if the answer is not known, that might be worth considering, just noting if that's a possibility.
Other comments? In the back?
Thank you. Hi, I'm Maddie. I live on Route 5
What's your last name?
Bialkin. I have a question about the longer statement. You said that it was written by the Indivisible group in Brattleboro, and it was presented to Putney, and they're...
It was originally written by a few folks in Putney who had a little bit of help from Indivisible, and then Life and Justice joined in and added a couple of things.
Got it. Thank you for that clarification. Has that been brought before the people of Putney? Have they had a chance to vote on that? They will at their town meeting? Okay, got it. Thank you for the clarification. I appreciate it.
Other comments before you talk again? Michael, let's see if anyone else has a, yes. Paula?
I know, Paula Marks, Fern Drive. I know they're considering a similar resolution in Jamaica on Tuesday, and it's my understanding that Williston passed it, but I don't have verification of that. So, so this is happening. I just wanted to add that very quickly for context. On February 13th, Ryan Schwank resigned from ICE. He was a training instructor with ICE, and he resigned in total frustration. He said that the agency had become deficient, defective, and broke, and the quota for rounding up immigrants and the ways in which they were rounding up immigrants was totally at odds with previous ICE training. And I don't know if he said this or someone else did. It's been covered even in the major media, believe it or not. But just one more fact here. Well, somewhere here it says that their training has been reduced by 250 hours. Okay, and the idea that they can go off to a law enforcement agency after having been ICE, they don't have the training. So I just wanted to throw that into the mix as well. Devin's question is a very good one, but it's, do we take a stand?
Sheila.
So, Devin, you asked if this might imperil federal funding that this town gets?
Or the state or counties.
Well, we've seen the Trump administration deflect or refuse to disperse funds that have been voted on to states. I believe Vermont has not yet felt that impact, and I think Zahn is confirming that. And I think, and Ellie needs to confirm this, that Guilford does not get funds directly from the government, that we get them through the state. So it's just a matter of what this particular administration decides to do that will not affect us directly, probably.
David? Oh, then you, Michael.
David Eastman. I'd just like to speak in support of this non-binding resolution. I think it's important for citizens to speak out wherever and however much we can. What we're seeing is unconstitutional elimination of due process, rights that I've held as dear to being an American and a patriotic American for the entire span of my 75 years. And I'm just seeing those fundamentals of what I think of as American and freedom in America being eroded, and I think ICE is an example of that. It's not the only one, but if we have an opportunity to speak as a town and as a collective, I think it's important to do it. So I'll be supporting this resolution.
Michael? Back to Michael.
Thank you. I just wanted to speak to what Devin was saying and to acknowledge how valid and strong a question that is. And I think that the way that I would respond to that is two-part. Part of it is what the gentleman just said before me, that we have every right to speak our voices and to be heard. And I don't foresee giving that away. But I think that I don't think that we can provide a definitive answer to Devin's concern. I wish we could. I don't think that we can provide that answer definitively because we've seen this administration do things that no one thought possible in any way, shape, or form before. But I would also say that if by speaking our voice in Guilford, and probably being joined by a number of other towns around the state, if that causes us to come into direct conflict with the federal government, then we have a much bigger problem than how we feel about certain expenditures and murders and things like that that ICE perpetuates.
Zahn, up here, up front.
Is it? Yeah. Thank you, Michael. I wanted to just say that as far as I'm aware, anyway, I would be in support of this personally, but I wanted to just say that it's a known fact that no matter what happens from the federal government as far as taking away dollars or acting toward a particular community or state, as we've seen this administration do, we have a very active Attorney General who's involved in over 24 lawsuits against the administration in just this kind of way, where things are taken away from states for whatever reasons, then lawsuits come in. What it does, it doesn't mean that money will be taken immediately away and not returned. It just protracts the process. And I'm aware of that happening at the state level, that there are dollars that we thought were coming and are not coming now, but they are due to come because of various lawsuits. So I would trust in the strength of our Attorney General and her engagement with other attorneys general around the country.
Any other comments, questions? Okay, are we prepared to vote on this non-binding resolution? Michael, do you want to state it one more time, since I don't have it written down?
Very handy. The people of Guilford condemn the terror and murder being perpetuated by ICE operatives and call on the U.S. Congress to defund and abolish this agency as it now exists.
Okay. All those in favor, say aye. Aye. All those opposed, say nay. And you have carried the non-binding referendum. Are there any other business? Yes. Behind you.
Hi, I'm Leslie Kinney from East Mountain Road, and I suppose this is a non-binding sort of resolution to propose as well. Some people may have read the article or the commentary in yesterday's Reformer about who will protect the Vermont National Guard, and then many of us, or most of us, woke up this morning to discover that there were strikes on Tehran. And we don't know the destruction and damage, but some of the earliest reports indicate that 50 young girls have been killed at a school. So my motion would be, as Congress has not declared war on Iran, I move that the town of Guilford go on record as opposing the deployment of Vermont National Guard to this conflict and communicate our opposition to Governor Scott and our federal legislators.
Okay, any comments? Devin.
Hi there, Devin, Lake Ridge Road. I'm active duty in the Air National Guard in Massachusetts. I work as an aerospace ground equipment specialist. I'm privy to secret and classified briefings on a regular basis, and I just want to say that without disclosing anything, the American people have no idea the decisions that our politicians and our military leaders have to make with that information. I would encourage you to look at the source of that report that a building with 50 schoolgirls was bombed. It came from the Iranian state media only. Associated Press publishes any media. I wouldn't trust the Iranian government as far as I could throw them. That said, I would just implore you to understand, and I would implore this community to reach out to their politicians and their neighbors who happen to be in the military or anybody who is currently serving as reserve or active duty to get some context about what they know about the conflicts that they're currently being asked to support. I would like to just say that there is so much more that the American people just is not privy to in terms of threat to the American government, the American people, and American assets abroad. Thank you.
Go ahead.
I certainly appreciate the service of all of our National Guard and all of our military. And I also know that I'm not privy to a great deal of information on how some decisions are made. But I also am observing a very reckless president who came into office saying that he was going to be the peace president and now has continued to perpetuate war in multiple places around this globe. And that's not where I want my tax dollars to go, and I want my legislators to know that this is not the direction. And there may be information in the media that's not correct. There's also information that's being withheld from us. So I'll just leave it at that. I cannot support more war. One of the things that the media, various media outlets have said is that negotiations were in process to try to resolve conflict, and that this has interrupted those negotiations in a very devastating way.
Excuse me? I'll get a second. Was there a second on this? Okay, who said that first?
Dave Eastman.
Okay, Dave Eastman. Thank you. Thank you, John. Linda, you're after Tucker.
What's that?
Linda's after you. I was just telling Linda.
Bob Tucker, Guilford Center Road. I think the main point here is that Congress is supposed to declare war according to the Constitution. And if there's things that we don't know, why don't we know them? Or why doesn't Congress know them? Or it seems to me that just to have one person do this. Anyway, I would like to see the war powers go back to Congress where it belongs.
Okay, Linda Hay up front here.
I'm a great believer in the Constitution. I grew up in New Jersey where we had to take 2 years of American history to graduate from high school. And I really appreciate that because it gave them time to kind of engrave the Constitution in my heart. And I too agree, we have a war powers. I'm sorry, the dementia is interfering with my vocabulary.
War Powers Act.
The War Powers Act, yes. We have it for a reason. And I particularly think of the brave men and women who have volunteered to serve in the National Guard. And I would be willing to bet that most of them signed up believing that they were only going to war if Congress declared war. And I think we should show our support for people who signed up for that kind of service. Thank you.
Other comments? Okay, do you want to read your resolution again?
what I wrote before. As Congress has not declared war on Iran, move that the town of Guilford go on record as opposing the deployment of Vermont National Guard to this conflict and communicate our opposition to Governor Scott and our federal legislators.
Okay, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed say nay. And you have passed the resolution. Is there any other business? Any announcements? Sheila?
We have one more job, which is to finish Verandah's celebration cake. Steve and Linda. Maybe go out this way and get some more cake before you go, because there's a lot of cake left.
Dolores?
Can I sit?
You may sit.
I'll sit. And
This is Dolores Clark.
Dolores Clark, and it's probably not as important as cake, but I just wanted to say something about town meeting and budgets, and why do we come to vote on specific portions of the budget that are not then held. They're not just like recommendations. They're actually budgets that are put in that should be legally binding. And to say that, well, it's just kind of a budget, and we kind of go, you know, it's just an idea. It's not an idea when it's in your when it's in articles and it's in here. A budget is a budget when it is this. It's not like your mother's grocery budget or, you know, a household budget, which is everybody's, it's everybody's, you know, if they want to go over it, fine, that's up to them. But when we're actually voting on a budget in town meeting, it should be adhered to. Otherwise, what's the sense in even coming to town meeting and voting on a budget? That's my thing. And everybody eat cake.
Okay, I'll say one thing, which is that the town meeting has every right to reduce the budget. Vermont law is very vague on whether you can reduce certain line items within the budget. So, you know, it's inconclusive. And definitely you can't do that with the school budget. But you can certainly reduce the amount in the town budget if you get the voters to agree with you.
Ellie had something to say.
Oh, Ellie's got it.
Thanks, Vega. I just want to appreciate all the conversation we had today. I think it took a lot for Devin to stand up and say what he said, as well as everyone else who brought non-binding articles forward. It's not easy, and I just want to say I appreciate it.
Thank you, Ellie.
Jethro.
Jethro.
Yeah, just a couple things. I really appreciate everyone being here, and I appreciate, our town and the select board for doing everything you do. And it's like, it's hard work, and I think it's hard work for all of us to make the time to come here and do this. So I definitely appreciate that. And on that note too, though, May 2nd is Green Up Day. So we'll be gathering at the Brattleboro Community Center with bags and things. So if anyone can get out and help, that would be greatly appreciated. Thank you.
Any other announcements?
Muriel has one.
Hello? Okay. I have some announcements in regards to elections. First, the Guilford polls will be open at 10 a.m. and close at 7 p.m. at the Broadbrook Community Center, formerly known as The Grange. 2, you can still pick up a ballot or vote early at the Guilford Town office on Monday 2nd from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m., which is when I will be in there. Please note that a family member, healthcare provider, or a person authorized by the voter can request a ballot for someone else, but the ballot must be handed over or mailed directly to the voter the ballot was requested for. If the resident cannot come into the office due to illness or disability, the voter can request a ballot be delivered to them by 2 justices of the peace, if possible from 2 separate political parties, on or prior to election day. And the annual school meeting will be on March 17th at 7 p.m. at the Brattleboro Union High School. All registered Guilford voters are allowed to attend, and after checking in at the entrance, you can vote and speak at that meeting, just like today's town meeting. Last year, only 2.1% of registered voters from Guilford were in attendance, which is around 38 voters out of 1,872 registered voters. This is where the annual school budget is voted on, which is a majority of your tax bill. Lastly, if you still have your floor ballots or a small golf pencil, please return them to us before leaving. Thank you.
Any other announcements? Okay, I think we're done. We've concluded another town meeting. Thank you all very much. We got a